Welcome to GLL PUBG Season 2 Grand Finals in beautiful and unseasonably warm Stockholm, Sweden. I am your host, Marissa Roberto, and I'm joined by these two lovely gentlemen, my esteemed panel of analysts here. We have Steve, Toffee, Spears, and of course, Patrick, Frost. You, gentlemen, are you excited? I know we're hot, but are we excited?
Esteemed, more like esteemed. No, I'm very excited. It's very hot here. I think it's unseasonably warm, like you said, but the players, I think, are also feeling really hot and ready to go. It's going to be a great tournament. We're back to 16 teams.
Yeah.
We're back from PGI. There's some teams who want to prove that they deserve the title of best in the world. It's their first chance to do it.
I think the reason it's so hot is because all the players are so hot and ready to play the games, actually.
I mean, that works. I'll take that. We should talk about the journey to get here, really, because, yes, there are 16 teams here, but they had to qualify. There was, of course, GLL's qualifiers, right? And we had, like, an Alpha. We had a Bravo stream as well. Like, we had teams that really fought tooth and nail to get to this point. So let's talk about the fact that this was a struggle to get here. This was tough.
Yeah, it's a season format, so it's not like what we see with some of the other tournaments that are very invitational or sort of open qualifiers. You have to work your butt off every single week. You got to show up. It's a job, essentially. And yes, there's always the threat of Bravo looming over you. If you don't perform well enough, you got relegated to Bravo, where you had to work harder to get points, to stay at the top of the 16, to make it to the tournament. So yeah, the teams here worked their behinds off to make it here.
Oh yeah, it's all about consistency, consistency. All the time, being consistent every week for all the games to be able to get here. And all the teams here totally deserves to be here.
I mean, agreed, because, of course, they had to fight tooth and nail to get here. We also have teams that we saw in PGI, but perhaps a team that didn't make PGI that should have, that's here to prove themselves now. Of course, I'm talking about FaZe Clan. Yeah. And I know that I feel like FaZe Clan would be a favorite for you guys coming in, too.
I think they're always a favorite. And I mean, even when you talk to Scoom at PGI, he played with Liquid there, he said FaZe should be here. FaZe is the best team in the world, but they didn't qualify. And maybe they're the best team in the world at 16-team meta. Maybe they don't thrive in 20, and that's what we'll find out here today. But they went to WSOE. They did really well. Hopefully they come out and just crush. Well, I mean, not for everybody, but hopefully they prove that they really are as good as everyone says they are.
Well, I do want to take a look at how it's all going to play out just over the next 3 days, because that's the thing. There are 3 days here. We have 6 matches over 3 days. We will have a moment in between. Then we're going to get a little midday break like you see on your screen right now. That's just for us to have a little dinner. We need to eat something. We need to just get out of the heat a little bit, cool off, and then it'll be like a nice turning point as well for the teams to come back and see how they actually face off against one another. If you notice there, we get an extra $500 for the chicken dinner. So each, right? I mean, not for us, gentlemen.
No, but it's we've been asking for this for a while. A bounty for chicken dinners is huge. And remember, map changes during the break is also really important.
Of course. Let's take a look at the point system here now that you're seeing on your screen. This is also a little different than we saw last season as well, because if you notice, we're getting 10 points per kill. Last season with GLL, 4 points per kill. So let's talk about how that will actually change the dynamic of the teams going into this, like how we should actually, how they'll take on each match.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Frost, you've played at that level. Does the increase in kill count affect the way that you play the game?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You want to be more aggressive, and we have some teams that are really good on fragging. FaZe, one of them that we talked about. We also have teams like Liquid, but we also have some teams that have some really nutty shooters that could frag out really good. One of them that we've seen on previous LAN is Sharpshot from Wildcard. and hopefully he will pop out here as well.
Gentlemen, I just want to point out the teams that are playing as well, because we also have their streams that people can tune into as well. If you're not watching on this one, you can watch on one of theirs to see from their perspective. It's no problem at all. But we should talk about the actual teams coming into this thing, because again, they fought tooth and nail to get here. Out of all these teams, obviously we saw CIS up there first, then we're seeing the EU teams, then we're seeing, of course, the Americans, or the Americas, I should say, because there's a couple of Canadians in there too. Just shout out to my Canadian boys. But let's talk about these regions and why they're important, especially with the CIS region, because you were seeing a few teams from there. Yep. So what do they need to do?
So a couple teams from the CIS region. I think that they are going to be a little bit outside their comfort zone. They don't get to play with these teams as often. We've sort of, since we went to a regional format, created kind of an insular training program for a lot of the different regions. The Americas and Europe kind of benefits from that because they have so many good teams. CIS, I think, a little bit struggle to fill the full scrim lineups, and they will be tested. So this is a great experience for teams like M19 and Navi to come out here and play with the best of the best. I think it's going to really fine-tune what's already a pretty high skill level. But for like M19, they need this to continue moving towards the top of the tier.
So we'll see if they're going to be comfortable enough for it. That's one of the big things, because we have EU and NA. They scrim a lot together, actually. From time, almost every day, we see them scrimming together, playing games together, and actually knowing each other a lot more on how the teams play the games and so on.
They do have the wildcard factor, and that's something to remember. That these CIS teams do have an advantage, and teams, our Turkey, Sangol from Turkey, has this. These teams don't know them. They haven't played with them very much, so they are potentially going to get caught off guard by their style of play. We haven't seen a team that 4-man death balls into teams that run 2-2 splits before. Like, we haven't seen teams that have sort of used the kryptonite of the Western style of play, and I think that might happen in this tournament. I'm excited about it.
Well, what I'm excited for then, because you mentioned Turkey. Well, they're playing it in a LAN setting, which will be different from playing at home for them, because perhaps their ping isn't as strong.
So Sangol's a really fun one for me. I talked to the guys. They're super excited. Now, this is a team just like, I don't want to say like the rest of us because they're much better, but there's a high school student, 2 college students who are studying like electrical engineering and some other stuff. There's a guy who's a full-time shopkeeper, and they just love playing. They've worked well together, but they told me, Toffees, at our home computers, we get 30 frames per second during team fights. Our ping is ridiculously bad. So sure, we only got 87 kills during the league play, but that's because we can't fight. When the fight breaks out, we have to lay in the grass because our screens move so slow. So I'm excited to see how they do at a tournament where they have the resources they need to play at the top end of their skill.
But for us, for a player coming into this, like knowing a team like that is coming in, do you even see them as a threat, or do you feel like maybe, you know what, they're going to surprise me? That's
the thing, like almost all teams will be surprising you in one way or another. You should play in another way when you're at LAN compared to when you play online. You want to change it up so you're not predictable when you're here. But we also have actually 2 teams I want to bring up. STDX and Tolerance Lions. This is their first LAN. It could be nerve-breaking for them.
Completely there. The nerves are in play, absolutely. But of course, referring to like STDX, like they are an org that's based out of Canada, actually. So my hometown. I've always got to shout out the Canadians whenever possible. But it's exciting coming to a LAN for the first time, getting to meet a lot of these teams for the first time. Sometimes players coming to LANs are just meeting each other for the first time as well. But then you have teams like Team Dignitas who actually have been here for a week already, scrimming. They've been boot camping, and I know Team Dignitas does this with their other teams as well. But do you think that gives them an advantage coming in early and getting to scrim?
Yeah, I mean, if you come in and you scrim, you're getting used to the food, you're getting used to the hours. I mean, honestly, I was with Gates flying in yesterday. Those guys were like, oh, we're going to be exhausted, Toffees, because we've been flying on red eyes. Like, we don't, it takes time to adjust. So teams like Dignitas that have the benefit of doing that, amazing. They've also adjusted to the heat. They've figured out that it's very hot.
We haven't.
Right, but that's real, though. When you show up at the stadium and you're sitting next to a bunch of computers putting out hot air, you're wearing a soundproof headset, you've got all your jerseys on. I mean, like, that's not, don't take that lightly. That is difficult. And so they have adjusted already, whereas some of the teams just arrived have to sort of deal with that on day one.
We didn't get into EU teams too much, but I do want to bring it back to the ice because I do want to talk about Navi for just a moment here, because they are the reigning champs. Yeah. They are the reigning champs. So coming into this, obviously, do you feel like they're going to have that pressure to perform?
I think they have pressure. They're the reigning champs. Coming from PGI, they did well. They got 4th place, if I remember correctly. And there's Vanguard's not here, right? So they are the kings of the CIS as far as this tournament is concerned. I mean, when you come in on top, is that tougher for you?
I wouldn't say it's tougher because, like, all the players there, they're so experienced that they know what they're going to do. They're just going to be focusing on their job all the time, just playing. And I don't think it's going to be an issue for them, actually.
I do want to actually hear from them. As much as I love hearing you boys talk, I do want to hear from the reigning kings right now. Let's take a look at Navi.
It's kind of, we have to defend our title, you know, from season 1. It's like kind of more pressure, but we can handle it and show what we are made of.
It doesn't really matter when we play any tournament. It's just always the same approach. We come to win. It's the only approach. So every game we play, every tournament we play, we just aim for the win always. And I think this is the only mentality any pro team should have to be like a winner team. So it's always the same. So we are kind of confident.
Like after our second place on PGL, before GLL, it felt like really good to be the strongest team for that moment.
I think CS is slowly becoming better and better, but for now, in comparison with the European Plus and Ace scene, it's kind of a bit behind, honestly, because CS teams, they don't really have enough practice against top tier teams. That is why they're just kind of behind. But the good trend is that they play against each other, they gain a lot of experience, they travel to like a couple of LANs. For example, we had like PGI qualifier where everyone could get like a lot of experience. So the scene is becoming better, but for now it's just a bit weaker than the European, I think. The GLL is always like competition between top tier teams. Like it's like always a roller coaster. It's like top 1, top 20, and being a champion in such kind of like competition, it means quite a lot.
We will try our best. That's all I can say.
And this time, I think this is like the toughest competition that has ever been in PUBG scene so far, in any PUBG tournament, because I have Liquid, I have FaZe, I have Knights, I have a lot of great like teams from America as well, so every team is tough, and I believe it's going to be very interesting till the very end.
Well, that's interesting. Mentioning that CIS is falling behind, maybe, that this will be a struggle facing some of these teams. Is that interesting to you guys?
I mean, I think we hit on that a little bit earlier with this idea that it's tough to scrim. I mean, really the only training that they get at a really high level, and you know, we can say there's been a discussion for a while in all regions, are scrims taken seriously enough to help develop talent? But in these regions, getting 16 teams together to simulate a game is hard. I mean, this isn't Dota or CSGO where you just have to find one other good team willing to play with you. You've got to find 15 other teams to show up at that time and that place and willing to play at their best. And that is very difficult to do in a region like CIS.
So that's why we also see them sometimes scrimming with us in the EU scene. But I think they're doing good. Like we saw Navi in PGI taking 4th place in FPP. But they had a sub back then. Now they are having their normal roster with Shade back in the roster. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play it out.
Well, I want to talk about team roles here, but particularly for Drainies, because he seems like, I've seen him a lot of interviews with him. He even did the interviews at PGI as well. Like, he seems very commanding. Like, he's got a good perspective of on anything, and he seems like a really good in-game leader. Do you see him taking that role, or do you see him like passing it off while in-game?
I think we see him taking it, but it comes from that air of respect that you have for a guy who's been in the game since the beginning, who's been playing at the highest levels since the highest levels began to exist. And so when you have someone on your team that is, I'll say a staple in the PUBG community, then that just provides sort of that air of respect and call. When he makes a call, you follow in line because you know that he's seen every scenario. So I bet if I had to put my money on it, I would say they probably don't even have a defined, you're making the calls. It's probably more of a, well, when Dranis thinks this is the best way to play it, that's the best way to go.
Dranis is also a very young player, but really talented. And he's really mature for his age. And we see that coming in, like when he's doing the interviews, how he's handling with the team in-game and so on. All that reflects back to that.
Well, who would you say is, or which team would be Navi's greatest opponent? Like, obviously, he mentioned Liquid there, he mentioned FaZe, he mentioned Knight. So I guess those would be like their biggest competition coming into this? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's pretty common to hear most of the teams name the big 3 out of the EU right now as their biggest conflicts. There's a couple, I think teams like Ghost are going to be a huge problem for them potentially as well. But yes, it almost always comes back to, in my opinion, even the big 2, FaZe and Liquid. These are teams that have proven themselves time and time again, and honestly, everyone's terrified of.
But not only that, but they've been playing a lot with the EU teams, as I said before, with the scrims.
Right.
So a lot of the NA teams are actually unknown for them.
Yep.
And how are they going to handle that?
I think it's huge, and they're going to be. They've probably figured out where they're going to drop from each other, but a lot of these teams can't go to where they normally would go during scrims, and that means a whole new strategy, not a lot of time to practice it. And if I can say anything about PUBG, that first circle is about loot efficiency and smart rotations. And when you've made a change with about 2 weeks of prep, neither of those things are on point.
Oh, is that why I'm always failing when I'm playing casually? Just like running and trying to shoot people, and that's why I'm failing so miserably? Or maybe I just am a total scrub when I play PUBG just in general.
It probably comes down to loot efficiency at the start. I mean, honestly, if the better you are, it's sort of that first 2 minutes of the game, knowing your loot location, dropping in the same spot, understanding when to bunny hop versus slowly vault over a wall, it increases really your potential for the entire game exponentially.
I do want to talk more about Liquid, though. Obviously, they're one of the top teams coming into this. They had an incredible showing at PGI, my God. But there's a little bit of drama. Like, I don't know what's happening with Scoom. Like, he had tweeted that, this will be the last LAN he plays with this team. So that's heavy. That's heavy stuff.
He will very likely be at one more after this if what we expect comes true. But at the end of the day, Liquid has a team that was built to win. They were a team that was built. Scoom sort of had the head of it back at the last Star Ladder and said, let's put together a super team. And the team has felt like he's just not living up to his potential, and they were honest about it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's tough. I know the guys told me this was really hard. I talked to Scoom about it. He said, you know what? This is a job. Right now, I'm still playing. I'm still working. I'm going to put my best foot forward because I want to prove that I deserve to be one of the best in the world. But I'm going to work every day just like I should. And I think that they're handling it very maturely. It's the downside of esports growing, right? The power of friendship can only last for so long. But at some point, it becomes about the bottom line, the numbers, and the ADR.
So sad. That makes me so sad. Only because I know that he was one of the guys that actually put this team together. Like, it's his baby, and now he needs to say goodbye.
But that's how it is sometimes. We're all competitive players, or all of the players here are competitive, and they know how it is. You got to perform. If you don't perform, you're not going to stay on the team.
But it's not just about, I mean, it's about performing, yes, but you still need to be a good teammate. Like, you still need to be a positive, person in that house, wherever you're scrimming, like online, in your teammate's ear. Like, you need to want to hear that person's voice too, and I can't see them not wanting him there.
It might not even be performance related necessarily. There's a lot of things. We see Team Vitality is a great example of a team that's been together for a very long time. They were sort of a staple in PUBG esports, and they fell off. Over the course of about 3 months, we just saw them lose their position. They were a top 3 in the world. And then they just weren't. And it wasn't like they stopped being friends. They started hating each other. Maybe the style of play, the expectation, the communication just fell off because people change. And when the relationship stops working, the team stops working, and it's time to make a change. You don't hate each other. You just do what's right for the relationship.
Okay, I'll do what's right for our relationship now, gentlemen.
What's that?
And talk about the Cinderella stories.
Nice.
Shall we? I love talking about underdogs, okay? So who should we look for going into each match and root for? Because I need to root for the underdog.
Well, I'm rooting for Sangle Esports just because I'm excited. They are that team that's like, they're one of us. They have a full-time job, but they love the game. They are playing on some really good computers. They're playing on a great connection. So I hope that they really come out and show us, hey, we've got the skills to pay the bills in addition to the mastery of Snake that they sort of bring to this thing. So for me, they're a team that I want to see do really well. Will they?
Okay.
A little skeptical, but I hope so.
He's not putting his money behind it, but...
just my hopes and dreams, not my money.
So I would say Knights, actually. Like, we saw them at PGI, of course.
Underdog?
Yeah, actually, because they didn't perform at their full level at PGI. And hopefully they can bounce back from that and actually show us their true potential in here right now.
And I think that's relevant. Something that came out of PGI, some of the teams like Knights and Gates, I'm sure, even Ghost to a certain extent, that didn't perform the way that we wanted to see. I guarantee you that behind the scenes, that was tough on them. I guarantee that they were probably blame shifting. They were probably losing communication. They were having trouble with that. Because you play. When a team doesn't do well, especially in PUBG, it's a cerebral game, and there's one key difference. When your team is wiped, you don't go to the next game like you do in other ones. When your team is wiped, you sit there quietly for the next 20 minutes and have nothing to do but talk about how the game went. And that can really get in your head. So I want to see these teams who didn't perform at their tops at PGI come here, clean up the comms, and do it right.
Unless Mustache Dave gets over there and starts bugging them. I mean, because that could be a possibility. I do want to talk about Moonwolf for a second, because obviously we have somebody from Method coming in who's really like the face of the team. Even if you see like GLL put out a bunch of tweets, if you want to follow them on Twitter, Global Loot on Twitter, but they put out all the teams with like graphics of all of them, and there's only one photo for Moonwolf because I mean, of course, it's Andy Pyro, and I don't. First of all, he's very striking. He's a very good-looking gamer. Number one. What? Okay, you don't want to make comments on it. I will make comments.
No, it's fine. He's
a very striking man.
Yeah, he is striking. So not surprised that somebody would comment on it.
Is he pulling that team? Like, will he be the in-game lead, or are we going to see something special with these guys? Because he's coming in as a sub, right?
Yes, I think it'll be more of a spark starts a fire situation, right? When Texas joined the Knights initially, Texas is a phenomenal shooter. He's great with his aim. His snap is really strong, and he's very similar. What we saw with Texas the day he joined is they ran a very interesting 3v1 for a while, where Texas just did what Texas wanted to do, and the other three players sort of worked around that. They ran flanks, they ran off angles. I think we'll see that from Moonwolf. Andy will play Andy PUBG, and Moonwolf will say, okay, how do we best back him up? Which actually might work pretty well for Andy's style of PUBG.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Also, we know that the other three guys in Moonwolf, they're actually Italian, and as far as I know, they communicate in Italian, which Andy doesn't.
Hold on a second, how's that going to work?
Well, I don't even know. I mean,
ma che cazzo, mannaggia, miseria. Like, I don't even know.
I don't know what you said, and I'm probably Andy's same boat.
In Italian, that's all I can do.
Well, I think so. When Andy brought Moleman onto Method, it was a strong pickup because Moleman did a really good job of supporting Andy. Andy does well when someone's sort of, I don't want to say behind him, but keeping an eye on him, playing his off position, making sure he's backed up. And if the three guys are communicating and saying, okay, wherever he chooses to play, we're sort of going to be taking care of him. I'm sure they still speak enough English to communicate, but maybe not in the intense moments. That I think may work for them. And like I said, I think that he brings, I mean, you've seen Andy play. It's a smash mouth, in your face, streamer shot style of gaming that might work well with these three guys sort of backing him up.
But we also know that they've been playing together for about a month, a little bit more, practicing together, doing scrims and so on. So we'll see what that will give them.
I do want to talk about this tournament because it is kind of like a staple now. There's so many things happening around it. PUBG has grown so much just in the past 6 months. Never mind the past month. Like, we just saw everything, like the massive tournament of PGI. But we're seeing a lot of shifts in rosters, or as you coined the term, roster royale.
The roster royale,
Is that your term? Can I trademark that for you, or is it?
I think Avenger.
That's Avenger.
Oh, it's Avengers.
I'll give it to Avenger.
Okay, Avengers. I'm sorry, get right.
He's not here, so I'll just take credit for it.
What, you?
Yeah, me and Frost. Me and Frost got the idea.
We'll share
okay, it's so great. I love it. Let's TM it. Toffee's Frost. But there's been so much happening with that. So talk about maybe one of the rosters that, or the roster shakeups that maybe you guys are most excited about versus, you know, because I get always sad when players leave, but I know it's also exciting.
Right. I mean, traditionally we call it the roster shuffle. Every esport has it after. Whenever the World Championship ends, everyone sort of re-examines what's the next year going to look like. That's happening here. Unfortunately, because we have so many players and so many teams, like roster royale is a reality. Some teams will be destroyed by the roster royale. Some will thrive on it. I think a team that is thriving off of the recent changes, hopefully, Vitality. They picked up 2 players from the now defunct Rogue to sort of give them a new breath of fresh air. I think we'll see a new drop out of these guys in this game, which thank God, because Milta was not working for them anymore. And I think that that'll bring fresh air to these teams, because there is a danger, I guess, of stagnation. When you play with someone for too long, you get comfortable, you sort of expect failures or successes in certain areas. New blood means new game styles, and that catches everyone off guard.
But that might also be hard for Vitality, because Vitality was a full French lineup before, and they were communicating in French. So now they picked up 2 other players. They're communicating in English, and they've been only practicing for 2 weeks together.
2 weeks, and I actually chatted with them a little bit, and they were like, Toffees, we're good news. We're going to be better in interviews going forward because we're learning more English. But that's a reality. 2 weeks ago, they were communicating in French. Now it's all English. So how does that affect them in their first tournament? Upside, they probably don't have a lot of expectations coming into this. They probably, as an organization, like, let's just see how we do, and that gives them the freedom to play the way they want.
But still 4 very strong players on that roster.
100%.
Of course. Speaking of English speakers and interviews, and we didn't mention mustaches, but mustaches. We got Mustache Dave standing by with some of the players now.
Oh, yeah?
Mustache one.
Controlling
How you feeling the setup? How are you feeling the setup?
I'm feeling good right now. I just got here and I got free food and free drinks, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, look at this guy, straight chilling, straight chilling. Let's go up here, let's go up here. We got 2 more guys hanging out. They look like they... Dude, scoot over, scoot over, scoot over. Ah, Red Bull, I know. All right, so introduce yourself.
My name's X. Sweater. Spectating.
Spectating the players, getting motivation. We played for NIP. NIP didn't qualify for the event, so we're just here to watch.
Teams in particular are you really looking out for to kind of copy their tactics, I guess?
Copy their tactics? I mean, I think every team has their own specific play style, and if we intrude early game, we're going to get screwed over for that. But I'm interested in Liquid with the whole Scum scenario. I'm going to see how they play, and specifically FaZe. Consistent.
Same question.
The usual, like FaZe, you know, like they missed out on PGI, so expecting them to want to win this.
All right, I like you guys' comfortable spot. I think we got time for one more guy. Let's get right. Oh, look at him. Ooh, we already talked to him earlier. You'll see some cutaways from him later. So what are you doing? You're the last 3 games, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, camera guy. You're on the court. Thanks, camera guy.
Well, take the I'm casting the last 3 games with Sadikist. Extremely excited to do that. I've been casting the majority of the season, so excited to get started.
All right, I think Sadikist, he's right there. Waving. Camera. No, look at Sadikist waving. Hey, pasta visual. All right, so let's get back over here. So what are you going to do here then for the first 3 games?
For the first 3 games, I'm going to watch the games with Sadikist, look at some Mirimar, look how people rotate, and the first teams together. So I'm kind of excited to see if they hot rub each other.
So obviously we're in EU now. NA, I mean, what NA teams are looking good to you?
I mean, I think Ghost is going to do really good here, and I think Team Gates is extremely motivated to do good, so I hope they're going to show up.
All right. Anything else you want to say? Any shout-outs?
Shout out to all the fans.
Shout out to all the fans. All right. He's talking about the fans from the store because it's so hot out here, so shout out where you at. I was actually talking to somebody. They said that all the stores around here don't even have all sold out. There you go. How's it going?
I'm good.
I'm very good. It's cutting out still. Oh, are you gonna get closer? No? Okay.
Introduce yourselves.
I play for Method.
I'm Venom Ullman's girlfriend.
All right, so how are you feeling about today's event, the venue?
Let's hope someone gets injured so I can stand in. That's what I'm hoping for now. Maybe it's too hot for them, you know, so I can step in. Used to the weather.
All right, I need the truth. Has he been upset about this whole?
That's the complete truth. He's solely a stand-in.
So how are you going to help him injure one of his fellow teammates so he can play?
I can't spill our secrets.
Any shout-outs to your fans, though?
Shout out to Spiky.
All right, well, we're going to hang it. We're going to hang out here, watch the games, and pass it back to the studio. Back to you, Desk.
Mustache Dave just chilling in the lounge with all the boys. I thought he was going to talk to the players, but no, he's chilling in the lounge. We saw a wild Sadikist. We saw a Venture in there just chilling. We'll be heading there to watch actually some of these matches. We'll be chilling together and watching, which will be so fun for me to actually sit and watch with you boys and get all of your insight. I mean, it's nice. It's nice meeting PUBG fam for the first time, you know? You guys have been so wonderful. I do want to talk about going into this first match, though, because we have Mirimar.
Yes.
So what does this mean for teams coming into a map like this?
So there's not a lot of tournaments that are running Mirimar right now. It's kind of the fun part of GLL is running it in a 3-3 format. You have to adjust. Mirimar is a very different style of play. Erangel's about sort of control areas, whereas Mirimar is about vectors of control and sort of how you take your slice of the pie and make it yours. And I think teams that edge play traditionally and are very aggressive will do very well in the Mirimar maps.
I wouldn't say that NA is better than EU on Miramar,
I would.
But NA does prefer Miramar more than what EU does.
Yep.
And why?
I don't know.
I think it fits their style. I think America's a little more loosey-goosey with the way that they, or North America plays a little more loosey-goosey. They tend to drop with sort of plane-dependent drops more often, that wild card style of play, and Miramar favors that. Miramar, you can definitely drop plane-dependent and survive, so that really benefits them, I think, but also they don't mind when the wheels fall off, right? European teams tend to be a little less happy when the wheels go off and you're sort of in fights that you're not expecting and third parties come out of nowhere. North American players, I feel like they're more comfortable with that. So with the exception of Liquid. Liquid is a team that will dominate on Miramar. I'm pretty positive.
But Liquid has been struggling on Miramar lately, though.
Fair.
But will we see NA on top on Miramar now, though?
I think it's a great way for North America to start the tournament. I think it'll give them some much-needed confidence, and some of our teams will do very well there.
I know one team that actually prefers Miramar over Erangel, and that is Ghost.
Yep.
Oh.
Ghost Gaming.
Well, because, okay. So Ghost, I love Ghost. One of the weaknesses of Ghost is sometimes Profi will just go off and do his own thing, right? Balak has been a great leader. He sort of keeps everybody where they need to be. Yeah. But when things hit the fan, Ghost will sometimes filter into a let's bloodlust, if that makes sense. And in Miramar, when the bloodlust takes you and you realize you're in the wrong spot, sometimes you can just hit the deck, duck behind that ridge, and get yourself back, right? In Erangel, if the bloodlust pushes you out too far, you're just done.
It sounds like almost like a telenovela, the bloodlust taking you.
It sounds appropriate for the map too, right?
So appropriate for this map. I do want to talk about before things get going here. Obviously, your predictions with all of let's go first map.
First map.
Well, just first time getting into it. They're feeling each other out. Obviously, they've been scrimming a bit together too, but this is the big stage show. This is where the points matter. So who is going to shine in your eyes?
I think Ghost, I think you brought it up, comes out on top for this map. I think that they're going to play very well. I think that they have a lot to prove after day one of FPP in Berlin. I don't think they would be mad at me for saying it maybe, but they were not good the first day of GLL. They struggled. I think Profi had 2 kills on the entire day, for crying out loud. So they're coming here. They want to prove something. The 16-team meta will, I think, work in their favor. And I think they'll dominate on Miramar.
Oh, yeah. I also believe in Ghost. Especially, we know.
I believe in Ghost.
I believe in it. We also know that they've actually been boot camping in Copenhagen. So they, even though they're 2 NA, 2 EU players, they're still ready. They're not jet lagged. They've been chilling. They've been gathering energy and just like having a vacation for a few days before this.
Is that all you need to win? You just need to store some energy like a Pokemon.
You have to gather energy, so you can burst out on arrival.
Unleash. Okay, but I would also like you guys to pick like maybe your wild card, not to throw a wild card out there, but like your wild card for a team that maybe might surprise us.
I think M19 might catch a lot of us off guard.
Okay.
I think especially in Miramar, I think that they do some edge play. I think they have a little bit of aggression to them. They like to hit teams with 4 that are playing 2 and 2. And I think that in Miramar, we're going to see a lot of splits with holds for teams. And I think that that may hurt them when a team like M19 comes rolling downhill like a raging river and just sweeps them out of the way.
I would go, my wild card is wild card.
Surprise!
I like that.
I just set you up for that one.
So we have Sharp Shot, who we talked about before, is amazing fragger. We saw him at another LAN doing some amazing stuff. And I hope he can bring that back here and show the team, show them the way, and all together do really good.
Show us the way. I like that. Toffees, you didn't mention Senegal. Like, what the hell? I thought you were going to be.
I'm cheering for him. I don't think they're going to win. You asked me who's going to win.
Okay, fine.
Not to be mean, but like I hope I'm cheering for him. I'm rooting for him. But I think they're going to struggle, especially on the first day. And we've seen this before. Teams that are first time at a LAN, getting the experience of the computers and the network connection, all that stuff. Day one is very rough for them because they're used to shooting someone who's skipping across their screen.
Fair.
By day 3, they will probably be doing significantly better. But I think that there's other, we'll cheer. We'll watch them do better, and hopefully they take 1 by the end of the tournament.
Okay, fine. I'm only teasing you, but we should mention the fact that Marco Del Vecchio isn't here with Senegal.
No.
Like, he had visa issues. He couldn't be, so they're playing with someone different.
They are playing with someone else, but again, apparently because they all have real life jobs and they all have their students, it's not uncommon for them to sort of be playing with subs, so they feel relatively confident with their subs. There's some teams when a sub can't make it that it sort of just guts them. This is a team that I think will do pretty well with, hey, we have subs anyway when we play because, XYZ's got to be working this day or someone's got to take classes.
Okay. For someone coming into this, like fresh, this is the first PUBG tournament they're ever watching. It's very exciting, but what should they be looking out for? Like when we're jumping into this map, the parachutes are deployed. What should we be watching for?
So Miramar is interesting to me because plane-dependent drops. Miramar is a very large map. So if we see an aggressive polar plane, if you want to call it that, whether it's hard south-north or hard east-west, we're going to see a little bit of chaos because teams are going to be looking to sort of do a spread loot. That area north of San Martin, sort of south of Water Treatment Crater, is a place traditionally that we've had at least 3 teams from every region during finals was looting in that area. So if the plane is going to be far to one side, that spot's going to be very congested, so we could see a lot of chaos. But if it's your first time here, I would pay attention to rotations. Pay attention to the way that teams approach the game. It's very different than the way that I play at home or you play at home with your friends. It's very planned, very thought out, and a lot of times you'll see these wide arcing rotations, trying to avoid fights and looking to get forward to the final circle.
But that's also something I'm looking forward to see, like the rotation itself. Because Miramar doesn't let you rotate anywhere you want to. You got to use the roads because that's the fastest way. If you don't use the roads, you're going to be really slow on rotations because the vehicles doesn't let you go through the land.
And it's interesting because I think, and this is my Mirimar philosophy, and we'll see which one teams embrace. If you're in a car after circle 3, you're wrong. You get a car immediately, just in case you don't get the circle. Move into 2 comfortably. Pick the way that you're going to play the rest of your game. Literally, from the moment you get into circle 2, you say, all right, here's a mountain range. I'm going to control this mountain range for the foreseeable future, and if it's a terrible circle, well, we'll make an adjustment then. But statistically, 70% chance this mountain ends up inside. I'm going to play it to the bitter end, ditch the cars, and play vectors of control. And the guys who control the biggest piece of the pie tend to be the ones that come out on top in Mirimar.
The biggest piece of the pie. I love that because you're looking at Mirimar like a pie.
I literally look at the circle like a wedge that you have to control.
I love that. I just want to let you guys know at home that we're just waiting for one of the PCs crashed. So we're just waiting. Yeah.
So we get to chat more.
We just get to chat a little more. You have to deal with us for just a little bit longer, which is fine because I get to know you gentlemen.
And we get to talk about fun stuff. So, like, I want to get back to Wildcard for a second. Is that okay?
Of course. My God.
So Wildcard was your pick. And I think it's true because Wildcard is one of the first teams that I've seen to do plane-dependent dropping. Like, Noble does it where, like, okay, if we're near Zarky first, we'll jump out, well, whatever. But Wildcard had this philosophy that the extra minute of looting by jumping out right away is more important than going to my favorite spot. So they will go to somewhere that's closer to where they're jumping out of the plane quickly. That, I think, in Mirimar is insanely strong. So look for them to make some quick drops and be very flexible at where they go. And I think that they're going to thrive on that. That sort of flexible wildcard style of play is going to go very far in Mirimar, but I think that they will, again, struggle a little bit in Erangel because they don't have that consistency.
But we also know that Wildcard has a secret weapon, how to boost the morale in the team.
Right,
oh, wait. What? How? What is it?
So they have Kickstart making random animal noises in the comps to boost the morale.
No, come on.
They told me themselves.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it's important. A lot of these teams have this kind of thing. Like, remember during qualifiers, I think we saw Machine Gunner's crew was sort of singing into the mics. I think Vanessa Carlton got caught on comms doing it. But teams,
yes, that's right.
Teams do this because it's a mental game. The first couple of minutes, one of the important things is keeping your guys connected, keeping your guys in the game the entire time, and not letting them check out. And if that takes animal noises or songs to sort of keep everyone happy but also focused, then that's what you need to do. And a lot of these teams have these sort of practices that they do constantly. That way it's not just dead comms. You want to stay warm.
So I guess tips and tricks for people playing at home, or maybe they want to, you know, form their own team in PUBG for the first time. I mean, these are good things to know. You got to make animal noises. You got to be positive with your teammates. Like, what's something that's maybe really negative for teammates to do when they're in there? Like, I can imagine if just you're getting shot out and they're just screaming or they're saying, "Oh no!" Like, that's not helpful for your teammate.
I think, honestly, the talking, you need to be doing this instead. One of the biggest things you can say if you want to improve in PUBG is when you die, shut your mouth. You know, listen in, make some calls, help out.
I disagree on that.
Well, help out.
Oh, really?
But it's really common, I think, when someone dies, especially in pubs, that they're saying, well, you should have done this. You should go loot that. You should go do this. Like, when I say shut your mouth, I mean, don't tell your team how to play, but let them know. You become the most important person on the team because you can see everything. But you need to just be helpful. Hey, they're behind that rock. Not, this is how you should have done that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But is there a strat where, like, I'm super casual, that's why I need to know these things. If there's a strat where, like, you die and I'm a teammate that dies, and then I can actually see what's going on, and that would be a strat from the beginning to actually take me out early, and that way I'll be able to help?
I wouldn't say it's a strategy you want to use, but I will say, like, when you talk about Marius when he played with TSM, his strongest form was when he died, right? Because he becomes a super saiyan APR.
He is the phoenix.
The mega
mind. He becomes that because he can watch. That person's jumping. When an IGL dies, in a way they only become stronger because now they can see everyone's cams. They help with the communication aspect. So teams, and you could vouch for this, I think, teams have like different names for different kinds of trees, different facilities. And one of the hard parts in pubs is when someone says, he's behind that tree, he's behind that tree. And you're like, I don't know which one. Like, the guy who's dead can hop in and help them find the right tree, and that's very helpful. But I know because people don't die as often in the pro scene, you guys have like weird names for every tree on the map.
Well, every tree, every sort of house and stuff. But it's also like when you're calling stuff out, you gotta be vocal about it. You gotta be very precise about, all right, they're gonna be over there.
Yeah. I think comms are super important for pubs. If you're starting out, you want to learn, get good comms. Learn the second you there's a temptation, and I'm sure you've experienced this when you play, that you see the guy, you line up your shot, and you go quiet because you want to get your breath just right. And then you take a shot, and the team starts screaming, what are you shooting at? Instead of training yourself to see them, immediately call enemy, Southwest 25, whatever it is, you know, call out your position, get them involved, and then start sort of the battle. But also that kind of communication, developing that is really, really important.
Yeah, but it's also really hard as well. It's not enough, something you can do overnight.
Yep.
It takes a lot of experience. You got to play a lot. You got to play with different people as well to learn how to communicate with different people. So you don't only have your friends that you're communicating with all the time.
You gave me the perfect segue because I want to communicate with other people.
Two
people that are great teammates. We'll see them cast this next match. It is, of course, Larsen and Deman. Take it away, boys.
Thank you very much. So we have a light on me. I'm the star, boys.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. This is just you, Deman.
There you go. There you go. He was waiting for the introduction, Larsen. That's what he was doing. So Larsen is joining me for this one from Welcome to South George. First of all, congratulations. Obviously, third place in both TPP and FPP. You can just about hear me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say we'll get to it in a moment. We'll get the producer out of our ears in a second, and we'll get things going. That's okay, boys. That's okay. So Larsen, congratulations to start with. $220,000 richer. Yeah, not bad. Not bad for a day's work. Just going to put your mic a little bit closer. There you go.
All right.
I'm here to help.
Ever since we've been welcome to South George, first we've been working our ass and stuff. It's, I don't know, when you don't have a team and you're looking for one, it's really good motivation and pressure, and it worked out in both Leicester and PGI, and looking forward, we kind of know like what team we've been into, so I think it's been a good break for us to actually not have a team and just
take the pressure off, take everything off.
I think it's more pressure because you want to do even better.
You're doing better for yourself.
Because if you don't do good, you're actually not going to find a team in the future. So.
And remember, you can buy Welcome to South George hoodies
also that,
in-game that are dark green and almost act as camouflage. So anyway, let's talk about GLL. Let's move on. We're talking about, obviously, we're going into the first game. It is going to be on Mirimar. Let's talk about Mirimar itself. We're into 16 teams as well.
Yes.
Obviously, back to normality in the world of PUBG. But let's talk about Mirimar. Mirimar. It's a map that you boys have done. You've actually done pretty okay.
I wouldn't say that we do better though on Mirimar. I think we do pretty good. But the thing with Mirimar that I don't like as an in-game leader and other people don't like, let's say the players, is the rotations. It's Sophie kind of brought it up. You don't tend to keep vehicles for very long, but it's very hard to find the balance.
Of when to leave the vehicle, yeah.
Because there has been a tendency in these circle settings and with 16 teams that when the fourth circle hits, it hard shifts to one area, and then you have to get there, and after that you can actually leave them behind. But for the first 3 circles and until the 4th one hits, you need to save your cars.
So you would abandon it after the 3rd or the 4th?
You need to see the 4th circle shrink, and until then it's very important that you keep cars, because at least when I played Mirimar, and we played it a lot, on the 4th circle it hard shrinks, and that's when you want to either have to go straight with your cars, or why are you laughing?
James doing his crazy mad mouse skills. His Scoom. Scoom, you're not Snoopy Scoom, and I know you know who that is. Trying to do the Snoopy stare. It's from a long time ago, and he's an ex-League of Legends player. Actually worked out pretty well for him. Maybe he just doesn't care. Team Liquid, of course, a team that is going through changes, Larsen. Scoom, the last tournament for him here for Team Liquid. We'll see what the future holds for him.
I don't think it's the last tournament. I think he's going to play this month out.
Is he doing the whole month? So
yeah, he's going to do Hong Kong and Starladder, I believe.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So, okay. We'll see whether he gets to do the whole team Profi hiding. The new Vitality, of course. Shadow and the new boy. There he is, Yannick, inside. It is to 2 players from Rogue, if you're wondering who it is there. Yannick's moved across along with Jazza. Has joined the Vitality boys, Shiv and Orox, no longer in the lineup. Not a great deal of expectations for these guys, really, is that they've not had too long to prepare for this.
I just look at their previous tournaments result, and they've always been at the bottom of the bottom, and I'm really excited to see what they can do with new life.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I have high expectations of them, but I'm excited to see what they can pull up and how they're going to play with 2 new players.
Yeah, and where they're going to drop. I mean, that's the big part of it, right? Wildcard, you know, these North American boys coming in. Picked up, I believe they picked up the first round of DreamHack Austin.
They played pretty good at Austin.
I'm pretty sure they picked up the first round of Austin. And this is something I want to hit on. Obviously, we do have 6 North American teams, 3 CIS teams and 7 European teams, so there's the mix in there. Now, you guys obviously discovered it, and you've all played international lands. There's a couple of teams that haven't played international lands. They may have played European events, or they may have played North American events, but none of them played the big cross. Obviously, the meta's a little different.
For sure. When you're a team that comes from, let's say, Europe, and you try to play the European lands, we have very few European teams that actually plays aggressive, and they might get caught up, at least in the first couple of games, maybe even the first day, at how aggressive American teams actually play. The American teams, they have a tendency to take fights, where European teams, they would just, you know,
just back away
and not take a fight. So I think a few teams today are going to be caught off price.
Andy Pyra there from Team Method, playing for Moonwolf here as a stand-in for Snake. So reasons unknown why he couldn't be here, but Andy Pyra stepping up to join and see how his Italian is as a Finn. I'm not too sure he's too fluent in it. We'll see whether he's
usually when you play with a sub, you don't have a lot of time. Andy has been playing with them for a long time. He knew this was coming up. I think they've been scrimming and practicing.
They've played Curse Trials together, right?
Ever since Leicester.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I think they've
had a
together.
good amount of time to practice this.
Obviously, Penta. We were talking about international experience. These boys have been around for a while in the European scene, but this is their first taste of the North American region,
exactly. Right? These are one of the teams, I think, it's Penta, it's Moonwolf, and it's Larsen in particular. They played all the real European tournaments, but I'm excited to see how they reacted today and how aggressive teams actually play.
Well, FaZe Clan, everybody knows who they are. They're going to have the big red FaZe sign in-game. They're going to be a big red flag. You'll be able to spot them very easily. They were not at PGI, however, teams still consider them the number 1 team in the world.
This is something I'm very excited to see, because at Leicester, the PGI qualifiers, and at WSOE, they had very, very poor first days. And at WSOE, they said they figured out what they done wrong, and they know how to come in and do strong on the first day. So I'm really excited to see how they actually perform today. They said they figured it out, but it's been a couple of weeks now since we last seen them in action.
And if you think back to, obviously, like you say, PGI, bad first 2 days in fairness, WSOE in Vegas, bad first day, great second day. You can really name across almost every tournament and think, what is going wrong on that first day? But here we are, game underway. It is Season 2, first game of 18 to be played out, starting out here on Miramar. The first 3 maps will be on Miramar, then we'll be moving over to Erangel, of course. And this is the big important part, Larsen. We're going to be figuring out where the hell everyone's going to drop. This is the exciting phase, really, of a new LAN, when you have teams from North America, teams from CIS, teams from Europe, all dropping, because a number of teams will have the same locations. One that is free, it looks like, is Picado. Looks like Liquid are going to have their standard free team.
We've had a pretty good airplane, though, for all the teams. It went straight through the middle. It wasn't super harsh. And most of the players can go to where they drop. I'm surprised to see that we only have 1 team in El Paso. That's a city that is usually shared. And it seems relatively quiet, doesn't it? Actually, we have Sangal dropping with Knights.
I do see, yeah, Sangal. So Knights obviously have played in the European region, and Sangal qualified as Griffin through the CIS regions, came 2nd place, and they've now joined Sangal Esports. And like you say, they have jumped in there. Now, are they going to try and fight for it? Are they going to just take the vehicles? I can see BSD's already getting out of there. He's already got himself a vehicle and heading towards the rest of his teammates on the hillside. It does leave Kalendor on his own, it seems.
Got a knock.
Within
there. Finish, and they're near Liquid, right? Did they get a Liquid player? Who did they get?
No, they've got all 4 Liquid players there, I can see. I do not know who they've got. It's Sangal. No, they are clear. Is it a Knights player? It may have been a Knights player.
I don't think Knights is around them.
It's Drayden, Voxic. Knights are down 1. It is, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it.
It must have been, no, it was Resu. Okay.
Okay, either way. It's a southern circle that's come through. It is going to pretty much center around Kumasera. There's FaZe Clan in Montenuvo. Montenuvo, it's a town that's had a lot of changes. Definitely spread wider, but it is still a good drop, according to FaZe Clan.
So, beforehand, you would have seen them more compact in the city. There would be more of the concrete buildings, there would be better buildings. But now you see they're actually pretty fast spread out. Hex City is doing down south, Yamcha and First Phase is out of the city. And you just have to do a little bit wider, because there's outside the city now these great compounds they added to the game. And yeah, you just have to take a little bit more ground in the early stages. And that's actually pretty good, because then you also find more vehicles.
These Dorados, I mean, I know they're V8s, but damn, they're loud, son. Ghost Boys, they're rolling into town. pretty heavy. You can see the Ghost guys on the map. They're down over on the east coast, probably working their way up to Impala, I believe, and to around Porto Parias. So Yannick holding an angle here.
He's
Who
getting
do Vitality
surrounded.
have near them?
Look at Nova's coming up behind him. He's probably going to go down here.
Holding the angle, iron sighted up. It is a whole lot of them coming around there. Yannick does get knocked instantly by Smitty. Of course, Nova being the former Totality boys, now being picked up by the Nova organization. And Yannick down. That is not the start that Vitality were looking towards. Obviously, no expectations coming into this one. They've really only played about 5 or 6 scrims together coming into this tournament. Very late announcement, I guess, with obviously the changes, with Shiv and Oryx going out and the ex-Rogue boys coming in. So interested to see how that will develop over the LAN. Obviously, you've been in these situations where rosters change. It's always a tricky one. Sometimes you have that honeymoon period. Sometimes things just don't click to start with.
It is for sure. And I think what Vitality is doing, they're saying, hey, we're a new team. We have no expectations. If we have a poor performance at this tournament, it's okay. But we want to have Minas Generales where they're landing now, and they're not okay with other teams landing. So they were probably taking this tournament to practice and see how they can maybe win Minas Generales for themselves in the future. So I think they're very relaxed. They don't have any expectations, and they're just going to take it as practice. I know it's a $100,000 tournament, it's big, but they're brand new. And I think it's good for them. They don't have that many expectations.
The Liquid boys on the move already. They're going to get run into Lions, it seems. I already saw shots coming out there. Liquid, of course, they've looted up heavy. And Lions, they're in a 2-2 split at the moment because he's just one in the warehouse, one in the right-hand side building. Liquid already pulling up and looking to get some shots.
What I want to see from Liquid is, I know they love to play high ground.
Oh, wow, Lions are in all sorts of trouble. So Liquid have got Lions one side. This is set to destroy. Where is that?
It's up in the church. There's a hill. That kind of, it's one good road that leads to the south from that part of the map, and there's a church. And it's a really, really powerful position. And he went there early alone, but now he's sharing it with someone.
Sonics from the Lions going to try and support, maybe if they can get up there and back up the challenge. They tried to push up, as you say, towards the hillside near Kumasera. The rest of the team trying to quickly scurry and join them. He's gone out of there. You can see Liquid now taking over that warehouse. The reason they're taking it, obviously keep the vehicles as safe as possible. There's Rift getting inside. He gets caught out by Chris, and Chris will finish him off. No skites. Okay, didn't need it. There we go. Puts the 4 times on. Now he's pretty happy. So 2 times, actually.
And Survivor pulls away. But I like what Chris did, because if the circle goes south, it is actually pretty hard to cross over. I don't know. It's basically a long hillside. And on top of the hills, you'll always see teams. And from the church, you can gatekeep the road and really far right, or really far and wide around them.
And with the circle the way it is, in that particular position, because there's, I mean, the south side of that circle is big valleys. There's not really a great deal of places there. So most teams look like they're trying to center as much as they can. You can see, obviously, Lions going past Liquid here, who've gone for a bit of a 2-2 split now. Liquid, they've actually crossed over the road. Looks like it's going to be Ibby and Jeems together, and Scoom and Samty the other side. So they're going for the 2-2 split either side of the road. Reason, obviously, doing this, you guys do it all the time. Everybody does it these days. You're looking for that north-south swing with the circle.
Especially from Liquid's point of view, their plane was perfect for Picardo. The circle is really good for them. And when you have these scenarios happen, so you want to take as much ground as you can possibly, I think they're maybe playing it a little bit too safe. It is the first game of a tournament. I would like them to see them take more ground.
Well, the Knights are rotating in from the north. Of course, they were in around Power Grid. They did have a little interruption earlier on. There is Scoom, a enclosed face cam of him. Okay, why not? Fuzzface getting shots onto Sangal in the distance there. Dropping the sights, going to look towards it. By the way, something we didn't mention, actually, the patch-wise, we are on the event server, so we're not on the live version that you guys are playing on right now. So obviously with dynamic weather and various other changes that came along with it, we are obviously, which is why you don't see Tracerfire as well in the observer mode. Actually, that's from our point of view, that's a big thing, but for the average public player, they don't really care about that.
But I mean, it's a patch that the players have been playing on for the last 2 months, I think.
Oh, right, this patch, yes.
Yeah, the patch that we ran in the event server is the same as was in Leicester, WSOE, and PGI. It's not the same spectator tools, but for the players, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit rough if they had like 3 days and a new patch and then had to play it.
You can't do that really, and thanks to PUBG Corp, they didn't go for that. Interesting, actually, Na'Vi, by the way, have chose to pretty much stay around Valle del Mar on the edge of the circle, not get involved in the scrim that's going on the south. Of course, the circle could very easily swing down that way. XMPL taken down. An example, see what he can get revived in there. Smoke's down, looks like it's going to be all right for M19. The CIS region team that came through 3rd place in the region with a very epic final map on Miramar. That one is the reason how they qualified. They have managed to get the revive in, so they're going to be safe. Looking towards the north, you can see Wildcard making the way south. Dignitas already working the way, and Vitality still a long way out there and actually not looking to be making much moves either. They're continuing on the loop path. Of course, the circle coming in. It's the first circle. It's nice and slow. There's no reason to rush, right?
I mean, we can talk about this. You said Na'Vi. They're a team that actually prefers playing on the edge. Whenever I meet them, it's always around the edge. They don't tend to take that much ground. And I'm very surprised that they don't have any vehicles, or they have left them behind, because we see them all four running away. That could potentially punish them. If this circle goes north, it's going to be a very hard time for them to get away.
Yeah,
because if it stays on the southwestern side, there's mountains and hills everywhere, so they don't need them. But I don't like gambling and risking on that. You always want to be prepared for the worst. So I feel like they should save vehicles at least for 2 more circles, just in case.
I wonder if it's because that you can see they're slowly edging towards the center, and if they did come rolling up in the vehicles towards Kumisera like they're doing now on foot, set to destroy, be well aware that they're coming. As it is, they're going to have no idea. They're probably going to expect a team to be up there, but as we can see, it's really only Ghost and Na'Vi that are on the southern edge of the circle. Penta, they've got themselves in the compound. They seem pretty happy. They, of course, were down in Los Leones and worked their way in the southern side. They're slowly creeping forward and actually trading shots with Moonwolf and M19 at the moment. If you had tracers, you'd see it. You'd see their shots, but you can't. So tough.
Penta's also in a really good spot. I like their position. They have easy access to both north and the south. And they just got to make sure nobody pushes them. But they're good.
Everybody but Vitality now inside the circle. Vitality coming in from the northeast. Looks like they're going to actually take a southern route down towards Los Leones and creep in the road that side. Which does actually give most people a fair amount of space. There's just a couple of teams close to each other. FaZe Clan, of course, one that we were watching. They've got Sangal nearby them. But outside of that, you can see them obviously in the scopes of Gemty. Got himself that Kar 98 ready to go with the 8 times. Where do you see the current weapons patch? Obviously, there's been a lot of weapons changes, a lot of balancing, a lot of scope changing. Do you feel we're in a good situation right now in PUBG?
I actually feel like we're in a really good spot. For the first 8 months of the game, the DMR was basically useless. You didn't want to pick them up. They might have been too aggressive towards the assault rifles because they're not very good at single tapping now.
Right.
They added a lot of recoil recovery that made them less viable. But I mean, with time, we kind of got used to it. But the DMRs is extremely powerful, but that's good. I want all weapons to be viable, because otherwise they're just like a dead loot spawn. So I actually think we're in a really good spot.
Even shotguns, eh? Running around with a shotty in your back, as we saw on occasion throughout PGI.
But that's a third person. Because you can sit behind cover, and you only show yourself for a millisecond when you use the shotguns.
Bam. Yeah. Pop out, so shoot, reload.
I don't think you'll be seeing a lot of shotguns in first person, but in third person, they're actually extremely powerful.
Extremely viable. Wildcard trying to make a move here against their North American brethren. Team Gates wasn't a great tournament for them over in PGI.
But that's not always a bad thing. At least I've seen them being very vocal on social media with how disappointed they were in themselves. And they will take their failure and take the tournament to become a better team. They want to put in more hours. They're going to talk about what they done wrong, and that's actually a really good thing to happen to a team. I mean, it's really bad that it happened at PGI for them, but...
It's a big southern swing on the circle. Going back to your point there, while the rotations are about to kick off, I remember seeing an interview with Team Gates actually talking about obviously how WSOE went for them, and they got spanked at WSOE, and that's what they said. That was the exact same reaction. It's like, look, it was a wake-up call. We were thinking we were God's gift when we finished top. That's FaZe Clan, is it? In the distance that's rolled there. It's M19, I believe, actually, to the light. I believe it's M19 that Penta are taking shots on. That's down in the Southern Circle. It was a big Southern Circle shift. It means that Ghost actually in a very good position right now. Fairly central, of course. We were talking about Navi on foot. Navi are in a fairly safe position. They've just moved in towards the top of Kumasera now. Set to destroy, already in position. But look at that Northern Circle. How many teams have to rotate? Now we're looking at Liquid. They're going for a big swing. They've all got in their vehicles. They're going around to the west side. You've got Moonwolf actually on the tip of Los Leones, which is just about in the circle. Nova heading down south. There's Liquid. They are choosing to go for a big swing. Now, Vitality were the only team not in the circle yet. They were very much on the eastern side. You can see them way out there on the east. It looks like where Jeems and Liquid are heading.
Oh, they started driving.
Oh,
they might actually be okay.
Are they going to hop out vehicles? They're going to try and trade? Because that is only Jeems, and he's a long way away from his team. Yeah, they are going to hop out. Shots going on to Jeems. He should be able to drive on by, but we immediately see the reactions. Look at Sam T and Co heading north. Meanwhile, look at Team Gates up north on the top of the circle. They are looking at a big swing, looking to do exactly the same like Liquid. Go around the blue and coming in the south. If you look at the map right now, it's actually the right choice.
It is, but I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, they're just going to be wasting so much time. They won't really be able to do it safe, I think.
But where else would you go right now? If you think of the position that Liquid were in, you can't go directly south.
No, I'm not talking about Liquid, I'm talking about Team Gates.
Oh, right, okay.
I would have preferred they went west around because they were closer. Because now they have to be in the blue for I don't know how long. And when they come towards the circle, they might be so low in meds that they don't have the time they need to actually find a safe space to come in.
It is a massive, massive rotate that they're doing.
It is.
They are.
Same with
Liquid.
Liquid.
Actually, I mean, they're
Liquid does a textbook, and they do this every time. When the circle goes away from them, they go far outside of the circle and then go to the direction where it hard shifted towards. So you see the bottom right of the circle is completely clear now because the circle hard shifted there, and it was really bad in the last circle. And they do this every time. And it tends to work out for them.
Knights did the same as well. Knights were basically where Sangala are right now, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
They've come around the far eastern side, western side, as opposed to the eastern side.
They kind of just ran through the circle. Yeah. They didn't have to do a wide rotation. I think they went foot, but yeah. You can always tell that it's clear down there, so it's a smart move to do.
Oh, wildcard posting up on the hills. That's actually above Kumasera. FaZe Clan actually moving into the bottom of Kumasera, where Set to Destroy obviously have been. Navi have made a trip further south, and they're actually trading shots with Ghosts, or some long-range DMR action probably going on there between them. M19 have moved further south along with Penta. Nova have worked their way down. Lions have worked their way down, and Dignitas slowly coming down from the south as well. Most teams inside, it's Team Gates that are well out in the blue at the moment, making that rotate. Along with Liquid, they went all the way around the edge of Los Leones and are going to come in around the southern tip of Moonwolf.
I'm looking at Sangle. They're spread up too much. I think they don't have enough vehicles since you see one running, well, two running and two driving. It's a tough split.
And I wonder if they... I'm wondering if they've actually crashed a vehicle, because I'm certain they had lots of vehicles at one point. This is not looking good for Nova. They're getting in a bit of a shooting range. Monkey trying to pop the shots off there as he works towards it. Actually, I'm watching Knights. They are in a really tricky split situation. They're going to end up sandwiched between Na'Vi and Ghost as they come into the southern tip. We thought they'd made a good rotation, but they've actually come all the way around, and they're going to find themselves in a really tricky spot. You see Balak taking shots at them there. They're looking actually to head away. I think they've been a little spooked by Na'Vi, taking quite a few minute shots on them. You can see there's Knights down low, there's Ghost up on the hill, and just to the left-hand side, there is Na'Vi. So it's basically wedged in a valley. Tricky spot to be in. Oh, and that's a big circle shift again. A hard shift. This is what you're talking about. Now we're into the third circle. Now you've got to be looking at getting in position and dropping them vehicles.
Exactly. And if this one goes north once again, it might be really rough for some of the teams that left their vehicles behind.
Well, think of Liquid. They've just took that big old swing. Team Gates is basically where Liquid left, past Vitality, and now they're kind of coming back to where they are from Los Leones, and Moonwolf, well aware, they're hearing the vehicles. Here's Ghost, they're getting themselves in position. Fairly decent central spot in all fairness. Navi, remember they're on foot. They've got a lot of running to do here, and they've got to run straight past Wildcard, who you can see in the distance. Luckily for them, they have vehicles, so they're going to get in spot earlier on. But Team Gates, they've now come down from the north. There's Mortify still outside it. Liquid, I don't know where they're going to do. They're going to have to abandon their vehicles around Los Leones, and I don't know how they're going to get in here.
It's actually really, really tough for them there. The area is very scarce. I mean, it's at the edge of the Los Leones, and as soon as you go past those warehouses, it's just open. Unless you come on top of the hill where Samti is going, it's not very playable. But they're running into Team Gates, Moonwolf, and Nova.
Yeah.
So it's looking dire, really dire.
It's looking really dire for them. Na'Vi still running on foot. It's the Liquid boys we kind of want to see. They've managed to get in. Moonwolf are coming straight towards them. Nova are running straight towards them. Team Gates are running straight towards them. Everybody's heard all these vehicles coming in. Ibby, you can see, trying to move on foot. It's actually Moonwolf O'Connell that was having a good peek there. It does look like Liquid have managed to get in, but you can see very congested on that eastern side of the circle. Meanwhile, Knights, meanwhile, down south, they're trading blows with M19. Na'Vi still running on foot. You can see Sangal, the Sangal you were talking about.
Knights is in a great position to catch Sangal off guard here. But I think, did you see that? He shot too early.
Yeah, that was way
I would have
too
waited
early.
for Sangal to come closer, and then you would have a good chance of taking them out.
This is what we're talking about. Moonwolf, they're moving in on Liquid. Andy Pyro gets the knock on Jeems, and you can see on the minimap all of Moonwolf making the move. Well, coming in there. Team Gates the other side. They're on the northern side. Ibiza down and out. Jeems is in all sorts of trouble. Ibby's been pushed. Echo is already moving into the warehouse where Liquid reside.
And this is what we were talking about. The NA team, as soon as they get a knock, they push and they don't stop. So I would expect Team Gates to fully commit to this, and we'll see one of the teams come out ahead.
And Moonwolf coming around the side as well. They're actually looking to try and edge around. So you can see Team Gates coming up the backside. Scoom's about to get a whole team all on side of him. He's already been hit and lit up. Just about to heal himself up. Here comes a nade just rolling on by. It's going to battle off the back there. That's going to wake him up. Jeems gets taken down and concluded. O'Connell's the one that will pick that kill up.
In the meantime,
Liquid down to 2 already.
Something we didn't cover was Samti. He took his two-seater bike and he drove off. So he's actually in the center of the circle right now.
Got the hell out of there.
So Samti actually got away, and they might have a chance to stay alive.
Samti is actually gone very close to M19. He's got to be careful he doesn't run straight into them, which it looks like he's about to. Scoom all alone. And look at this. Moonwolf and Team Gates are going to join each other. Samti finds Battlein, so he has actually run into the other team, so that's happening. So Liquid in danger of going out first here. Samti does get taken down by elite players. Scoom now, the last man standing for Team Liquid. The second place finalists in PGI in both FPP and TPP will go out in 16th place in game number 1 here at GLL.
Yeah, extremely unfortunate for them. I mean, they had to stay on the edge there or commit more because they got in a spot where they couldn't hold behind them or like their side, so they just committed a little bit too much.
Uber down, Sangal moving in on the back of Na'Vi. Remember, Na'Vi were on foot. Sangal did come in vehicles, so they've posted up behind them. Still well outside the zone, though, so that's tricky to take a fight on here, coming in behind someone who's basically playing edge as it is. You've committed and got a kill, but now Na'Vi, who have the distance advantage, can basically camp this out and gate camp Sangal completely.
Yeah, but on the other hand, they also have to move to the zone, so I'm not sure what Na'Vi's. I think they're moving now, which is a good choice, but
Vitality trading with Nova. Jazza gets himself one. Interrogate goes down. Balak also knocked by Penta. We knew this was all happening on the eastern side and the southern side as the circle continues to contract, and it gives Penta a great position. You can see Ghost. Where can they go? There's a giant road in front of them. It's a big open playing field. I think the only saving grace one is the M19 are about to come over the hill. Meanwhile, look at this. Sangal, I think they've all lost their helmets there, so they've all been trading blows with Nova on the way through. Udia, he lights up Andy Pyro. Smithy gets Jazza down. Knocks galore as everybody moves into the 5th circle.
This is madness. So Vitality's down to 1. Monkey was split on the side while Jazza and Shadow went in. So he has to claw his way in now. And Na'Vi and Sangal, they're both going to be in a big problem when the circle starts to close in. Wildcard and Ghost is going to cut them off.
Sangal have tried to flank. There's one over to the right that's shooting them. And now you can see Kalandor, he's going for the full left flank alongside the rest of the Sangal are going to try and join him. But Kickstart have their eyes on him as he tries to flank around the left there. So that's a problem. He's going to have to back away from that one. He does get Bokamolodoi down. The rest of Na'Vi are going to try and come on this one. They've got to be careful. This SKS from Kickstart doesn't manage to light them up. Well, the kill feed has just been lit up. We're seeing the numbers drop left and right. That is all happening east, west, north, and south of the map. FaZe trying to work the way in. They've lost one as Lions actually hold a great position. Set to Destroy coming in behind them. You can see Na'Vi are losing players on the hillside. Wildcard lighting shade up. That's Tumai and Kickstart getting involved. Na'Vi down to, I believe, 2 standing. Make that 1 as Pokamolodoi drops. Now, meanwhile, Sangal, they're in all sorts of trouble. trouble, and that is Navi out. They go down. I don't know whether it was 13th, 14th, 15th, because we've just lost 3 teams at once, Larsen.
But either way, it's not where they want to be. We talked about this. They were Season 1 Global League champions.
So far, we've lost Liquid in 16th. Moonwolf went out, I believe, in 15th. And obviously, we've just seen Navi going and joining them.
Wait, FaZe just lost 2 players.
14th place, Haxetti. Oh, he's down. Gemty gets taken out. Fuzzface, the last man standing right now. Haxetti and Mexi both down. Set to Destroy continuing to push on this one. Figanaldo, he's been knocked out. Lions getting involved. So Set to Destroy trying to push on there. Stacker's getting around the side. Fuzzface lighting him up. Set to Destroy down to 2 there. A Survivor gets involved. We see CeeLo going down in the blue. That's Team Gates in trouble. They're trying to make the way in. Dignitas lighting them up. Penta at the moment in a very, very good spot. Fuzzface on absolutely nothing, but he lives. Will he get the revive down?
He will.
Looks
Set
like
to Destroy disengaged.
I think they had choice in disengaging. I know. Too much third party going on there.
Almost a disaster for FaZe, but FaZe manages to recover.
Knights go out in 13th place. They get picked apart. It's Ghost that come in on the edge while Penta work them. We're watching Nova here, looking towards getting Team Gates. Mortify, the last man standing for them. As they try and work in. There goes Snakers. There goes Survivor. Set to Destroy go out in 12th place. As the circle shifts, it goes to the Lions.
And they have the most powerful position. This whole church area, you can cover up any direction. It's really, really good for them. Penta, they're still going to be fine. Dignitas actually also has a really good Ridge they can play by. And I don't see Monkey getting back in this. Everyone else is going to have a big struggle coming in.
Kramer, the last man standing for the Knights. You can see him out on the edge. Mortify actually looks like he's staring straight at him. Meanwhile, Monkey, as you say, the last man for Vitality, so 3 teams down to 1. Dignitas. The compound is not quite in the circle, but they pretty much have a decent position. Sonic's taken a big old hit, but he's got plenty of meds, so he's all right. Wildcard are the ones that they need to be careful of. FaZe, by the way, have got all 3 back on their feet. They did lose Gemty, but they're back with the 3, and that's a dangerous proposition. Dignitas, you can see trading blows to them. Long-range DMR action there, but M19 are pushing up onto Penta. Kate down. Udyr's getting a catch on towards him. Here's Constantine coming around the side, getting him a good old angle, but I think he hit the pole there. Brexico in the end will take him down. Example's going to get himself a shot onto Udyr may fire. Sees Brexico. There's a nade rolling past on towards them. They've got to be careful. That nade's going to come around the side. He manages to get Battleland down. Example gets picked apart, and M19 are just wrecked by the Penta boys. I think they lost 1 in the trade, but a 4 for 1, they'll take it. But while that was happening, Nova are using that. Look at Purdy as a chance to get in the circle and cover off Penta.
Yeah, extremely well played by Nova. I mean, Penta did what they had to do.
Monkey goes down. That's then Vitality going down. I think they went down in 9th place because there's another Team Gates went out there somewhere as well.
Promise
as we sort of drop it down. Kramer, he's the last man standing. He goes down. Wookie Bookie picks him off with the DMR. Meanwhile, Ghost, they're trying to get into the circle. They're actually trading shots as Nova try and come around the side as well. Wildcard sneaking on the back side of the Lions. FaZe Clan off in the distance there. Balok getting knocked as they try and move in. They're in a tricky situation, Ghost, right now as they try to get in the circle.
My eyes is on Lions. I feel like they're playing a little bit...
Penta on the move. They're going in for Nova. Penta, they've just got that knock. They're immediately pushing straight on them. Meanwhile, we see Wildcard. They're pushing up on the lines as well. Ghost trying to squeeze in. The blue is on their backs. They're trying to move into the circle as Penta comes in. They're looking for the action. Lost HD is actually making a flank on the right-hand side. Could really catch these guys off guard. There's Lost HD. Gets around the side, but he will get knocked. He got the damage down on Brexico, but it wasn't quite enough. He will get finished off, and that flank may be all they had left. Smitty, the last man, trying to run in the smoke and get out of here as Chronix goes looking for the head.
Smithy's last man standing. I want to see Penta go as a 3-man strong and try to clear it together. So they need to regroup now and then try to clear it. It's very important that you have your sides clear.
For Smitty's point of view, while he has Penta there behind him, Dignitas actually moved on to the low here in the shots. But now, oh my word, Lions, 4 men alive. The compound is godlike. But the problem is
they have so many teams around now.
Wildcard and Ghost are going to push them, yeah.
They need to figure out what they can hold and what they can't, and then make a stand somewhere. I don't think they can play as greedy as they are right now. So we'll have to see how they take it, but it's... Oh.
Nova, Smitty gets himself 1. He gets Brexico down. It should be the end of him. If they do manage to finish him off, they will. So that's Nova going down in 7th place as Penta get themselves a kill. Lions taking shots towards Ghost. This is a perilous position for Azariel there, up in the tower. Now it's Chris, gets himself the knock there. Are they going to move on it? Ghost have... Actually, Ghost and Wildcard are trading. FaZe are coming around the back of Wildcard. So Wildcard, while they're looking at taking all these shots, you can see they're landing them on Ghost. They're landing them on the back there. Mexi and Haxetti are sneaking in behind them. Oh, Azriel gets himself knocked. I said it was a tricky spot in that church tower. You're putting yourself out there. Balok will go down. It's going to be collected in the end. I think Lions maybe stole the kill, but Wildcard are going to push on this. Look at the back. You see Wildcard right now. Just behind them is FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed that FaZe Clan is not pushing. They hear the Wildcard is fighting. They see they're getting knocks. They must know that there's a fight. And you can just see they're kind of hanging back. I mean, they should know that their side of the circle is clear. But you see Tumay, he's throwing in the Molotov.
FaZe are actually taking shots onto Lions, and I think Wildcard just heard that. But hang on a minute. These guys are still behind us. Suddenly everybody's turning around. Lions are actually backing away. Penta and Dignitas looking to push into the circle as well. Ghost have made the rotate all the way around the south. They're about to push on towards Penta as we see Wildcard now occupying the same buildings as Lions. I feel FaZe missed a trick there. The Church is going the other side. Now Ghost coming in behind them. There's Penta getting around the side. Turtle gets down and Ghost are wiped out in 6th place. Just like that, Penta managed to hold on. But it's all about this compound up on the hill now. Dignitas making their way across. They're trying to get lit up. There's Resi tries to hit just about everything. He will manage to get, and Civil's down. Brexico finished off as well. So Penta will be finished off. That's going to be 5th place for them, and Civil will get taken down. And now it's all about Dignitas, FaZe, Wildcard, and Lions.
I like what Dignitas is doing with taking as much ground as possible. We see Wildcard actually spotted FaZe, so now they're going to be in trouble. They probably have to move now.
I'm really interested to see the territory that FaZe would have had to have passed to move south to get behind Wildcard. Whether it was like too open, the risk was too great, maybe.
No, it's bridges all the way. You can almost run up unseen.
Run straight up behind.
But the problem is they could. I don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know the whole story. Dignitas can see that third road they have to cross, and that's the scary part. But I don't think Wildcard. But maybe they would have been knocked by Dignitas or Penta.
Well, we'll see. It's all about where the circle goes now. Will it go north, south, east, or west? It goes onto the compound! That is where you need to be. And now FaZe Clan's choice, well, while it got them into 4th place, it's now maybe the wrong choice because it's going to be a really tricky pass. FaZe looks like he's going to be the lead man, but these guys are going to trade blow on the hill, and that's what Dignitas and FaZe need.
They must know what team's at the compound, and when they see knocks, that's when they have to go.
Nade comes in. Is it going to be enough to make them make the push? Dignitas getting the revive. You can see Adam getting rezzed by Wookie Bookie. FaZe, there's the road that they have to pass. Gustav will have an angle on them. Wildcard are keeping an eye on this. They know the way the circle went. They're well aware that FaZe is there because they were the ones that knocked FaZe in the first place. FaZe is going to move up on the south side of that hill, but it's not quite in there as they try and creep closer. You can see Haxetti's angle. He's looking. Now, looking for them, it's actually Wildcard to hold the south. There's FaZe. He gets spotted out, tries to get closer. Wildcard, this is what they had the chance to make this move. We obviously have the benefit of hindsight. That's the greatest part,
I
right?
also feel like it's the first game of a new tournament. You're feeling a little bit nervous. You have to get over this phase.
Well, Gustav still in a good spot. The rest of FaZe Clan, they need to move. You can see the bullets raining down on Dignitas. Adam knocked once again. He's going to get picked off. Who's going to take the points? It's 10 points per kill, remember. Everybody looking to get what they can. Wildcard with the 4 so far. And 2 FaZe Clan members down south. Doesn't look like it's going to be good for them. It's between Lions and Wildcard as we see Haxetti getting the knock. Tumay going down from Mexi. So that's 2 knocks on Wildcard. Now, if I was Lions, I would run out and finish them because Mexi and co are moving up. Wookie Bookie gets naded by Lions as FaZe try and move into the edge of the circle. Wookie Bookie finish off. The last man standing is Gustav for Dignitas. There he lies in wait. He gets Mexi down. He finishes him off. Haxetti gets picked off. That is FaZe Clan out in 4th place. Gustav has somehow hung on by hook or by crook and got at least a 3rd place finish as Lions and Wildcard stand with 4 men alive.
And Gustav gets taken down. And we're now down to 4v4. Wildcard versus Lions. I would say Lions has the best position here. They can fully use the church roof now. They've been staying away from the roof because they've been shot in the side before, but
Now, I mean, they're looking at 8 alive, right? They're going to be thinking, okay, this is 100% a 2 teams. They know exactly who's against them. They can see the circle. It goes onto Lions. Now it's all on Wildcard. They have to make the push. They have to make the siege. Do they have mollies? Do they have flashbangs? Do they have anything utility-wise to work them? Or do they simply get a knock and push on it?
Sonic, he pushed up alone and...
A second knock. Azriel gets taken down. That's 2 knocks. Wildcard looking good here to take game 1. I talked about how they did very well in game number 1 at DreamHack, and now the Lions may well get caught out napping here. They've been up in this church the entire time. That nade's going to roll on through. Rezu going to try and run. He hears the footsteps from Tumai, but it's too late. He's in the combat. He gets around the side. Sees himself completely exposed. Gets the one down. Will finish it off, but he's going to have nothing left in the tank to take him down, and it's now all on Azriel. He's been revived. It doesn't matter. The winner chicken dinner goes to Wildcard Gaming. They played it superbly. They took the compound, and they stormed the Lions for the win.
Wildcard played amazing. They took exactly the risk they needed to take. And you saw they managed to fight off everyone. And I mean, yeah, I think it's a tendency we're going to see a lot that NA, at least in LAN, they're going to take the first couple of games.
Picked up 10 kills on the way. Meanwhile, the Lions, they got themselves 11 kills in their Dignitas with the 3 in 3rd place. FaZe, 0 kills in 4th place. Penta, by the way, 9 kills for them down in 5th place. So they're actually going to push ahead in terms of points between them because, of course, from 5th to 4th, it is simply a 20-point differential. And, of course, with those 9 kills, it's going to push them way up there. Actually, probably above Dignitas as well, because it's 200 points for 3rd. So 10 points for them. So while Penta only got themselves the 5th place finish, it does mean, obviously, they're going to push right up there. Great first game.
Indeed.
You got to look at the rotations, right? I mean,
I'm looking at them.
From our point of view, it's great because obviously, you know, as casters, we see everything, right?
We do.
Obviously, we know what's going on. You got to look at, like, say, Liquid, for example. You know, they chose to make the big rotation around Los Leones.
I thought they were going to go further, then it would have been fine. But they
if they'd have gone right around the south,
yeah.
And which would have worked out for them. And then they kind of chose to go back the way they came, where they'd already traded blows with Vitality coming out of Los Leones. So they knew that there was a team there. Obviously, they weren't aware of the fact that, you know, Set to Destroy and Nova were there. So, you know, you look at the rotations, it's great for us to see. But obviously, when you've only got a small bit of information, you're trying to go off where the rotation was, where's the plane path, where to go, and you see the route, and you think, oh, it's clean. And then you find yourself wedged between 2 teams. It's a rock and a hard place, which I'm going to say because I know there's a certain caster out the back that hates that phrase.
My one point is I want to see FaZe play more aggressive. I want to see them take their fights. They have incredible players. All 4 of them are hands down one of the best players. So,
yeah, I mean, from your point of view, if you were in that same situation, you're making the call, you see the fight going on in the hillside, you've got to push it, right? And as you said, you know, first game, maybe a little nervous.
So I want to see them play aggressive and be confident. Because I know they can do this.
Be the FaZe fan we know and love. But wow, what a first game in the bag. It does mean wildcard, and I bet tell you what, I bet Froz has got a big old grin in his face. Let's get over towards the analyst desk to take us through that first fantastic game.